Hey VC, this is Brad from H2Vinyl. This is a thread video that was originally started by Mr. Hall of Fame, Brandon. If you haven't watched his video, check it out. This video thread is about 5 artists or albums that don't receive much love from the vinyl community. Whether they aren't mentioned or whether they're hated, I'm not 100% certain. But this is definitely an area where I don't see people mentioning these artists, and I have far more than just 5, so I am gonna get right into it. I won't do needle drops on all of these. I'm literally would be playing 30-40 minutes worth of needle drops if I were to do 20 or 30 seconds of each album that I'm going to show. So getting started off, I'm going to hit the alternative rock, indie rock, and that is Coheed and Cambria. This is their second album. I always do this, I choke on their names of albums because they're almost paragraphs long. This is In Keeping Secrets of Silent Earth. Yeah, 3. Okay, cool. I did get that right. This is their second album. I don't have their first album. I have their second and their third on vinyl. This is the one I'm actually going to play from. I do not remember this title. This is Good Apollo, I'm Burning Star, number 4. Again, this is their third album that was just released this year on Record Store Day 2017. Let me put this one down. It's kind of on reversed marble. I'm not going to dig it out. You can watch my Record Store Day video for an unboxing of this one, but unboxing, took it out of the sleeve. Anyway, I'm going to be playing the needle drop Welcome Home, quite possibly my favorite album by them, or song by them. Sanchez, I learned about these guys a couple of years ago from a really good friend who just played them for me in his car, and it reminded me of Mars Volta. I was already 2 or 3 years into listening to Mars Volta and really liking their stuff, and it sounded a lot of the same, and it's still very bizarre and new to me, and that's, I think, the reason why I like Coheed and Cambria so much, is that everything is so kind of eerie if you dig into their lyrics, but they're so catchy and really enjoy it. Again, Welcome Home is going to be the song that I'll be playing, and here is a needle drop from them. The next set of artists are from a genre that do not get much love in the VC, and that is hip-hop. I've been a big listener of hip-hop since the early 80s. I agree with Mr. Hall of Fame that around 85 to 95 was the golden era for me of hip-hop. His is close to that as well. I know he's shown groups like Fat Boys and EPMD. I've shown some Fat Boys and EPMD as well, but I'm going to get into some more kind of like the popular hip hop, and then kind of range into maybe as well known but definitely less radio play. And what I'm going to start out with is DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. There was a time that I didn't like these guys anymore, but it's come full circle again, and I really like that. Like them, able to collect these. These are readily available for under $10. This is their, I think this was originally their 87 release, but vinyl I think is released on year 1988, and then this second one. This one has the hit. Well, this one is, what is this one? This one is he's the DJ. Obviously, it's right there. He's the DJ. It has Parents Just Don't Understand on it. It has Nightmare on My Street, which they got into a weird lawsuit because they did a representation of Freddy Krueger's voice, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, they wouldn't have done that. They wouldn't have lost money on it. But anyway, there's his next album after that was their 1989 release, which is in this corner. I'm not 100% certain if there were hits on this album, but I love this album all the way. I can listen to it from beginning to end and love it. And then moving into the harder stuff, you got Ice-T with, I believe this was his third album, not 100% certain. This is the Iceberg, Freedom of Speech. The first album by Ice-T that I've heard was in high school. This was his 89 release. I heard it a few years later. And then Cypress Hill, getting into more of the, you know, if there's stoner rock, there is stoner hip hop as well, and this is definitely it. Getting a little into the hardcore hip hop and kind of the gangster rap as well. And then you're getting more and more into the gangster rap with Ice Cube, The Predator. This is his third album, 91, 92. Like I said, I'm always a year off. This is 1992 with The Predator. Possibly my favorite album by him. I really liked Death Certificate and America with the Triple K. America Most Wanted. It was his debut album, which was released in '89 after he went solo out of NWA. And I know some in the community have shown some hip hop. Billy Hurst showed some Ice Cube or some NWA things with Eazy-E and those types of things as well. I'm not going to play any of these. These are not the artists that I'm going to highlight. But so I've seen some love from these guys, but not very much. Who I am going to show and play some of their music is Public Enemy. I think that this is quite possibly the most influential artists in the hip-hop generation, even today. These guys started a movement, and I don't know if I have the ability to talk about that movement. I don't think I have the authority completely, but let me say, as a white man who was in high school during the time, these guys basically said, hey, America isn't all right. And it really opened my eyes to the movement of Dr. Martin Luther King, and what I think Chuck D and the hype man Flavor Flav and everyone surrounding this group, what they were trying to peacefully do through their music. And gosh, I love these guys, and I don't know if their movement made exactly I know they made an impact, but I don't know if they carried out everything that they wanted to. This is their second album. I don't have their first. It Takes a Nation of Millions to Hold Us Back. And then you've got Fear of a Black Planet. Oh, gonna put these down. And then you've got probably my favorite album by them, which was Apocalypse 91. This is the first CD that I owned by them, released in late 1990. And then the one that I'm actually going to play a song off of is kind of instead of a greatest hits album, they put together a greatest misses album, kind of the B-sides tracks that never made it onto their albums. And the song that I'm going to be playing is Hazy Shade of a Criminal, which has a sample from another hip-hop group that don't get recognized very often, and that's Ultramagnetic MCs. I have one of their albums as well, I just didn't dig it out. And in that, they have the sample of, and Public Enemy uses it as well, they have a sample of Star Wars. Somebody says Rebel Base, I don't know if it's the enemy, if the bad, someone, I think it was the bad guys, said Rebel Base in the movie, and so they grabbed that as a sample, and Public Enemy then took what Ultramagnetic used, and then just completely, I love that song because of it. Anyway, here is Hazy Shade of Criminal by Public Enemy.
Some people are accused, some people of crime, some people get away with losing my rhyme. They don't like where I'm coming from, so they play dumb. Dumb diggity dumb, diggity dumb. Well, I'm telling you what they do. Everybody plays a fool while a real thief cools in a pool. Yeah. Heel got the finger on the war button. Talking loud, ain't saying nothing. TV got him bigger than life.
Okay, moving a little bit away from hip-hop, but staying fairly close to it, and that is a genre that's never covered, Miami bass. This is the artist DJ Magic Mike. This is his second album. I want to call it Vicious Bass, Back to Haunt You. The bass is Back to Haunt You, but there's a little bit of argument on whether the artist is Vicious Bass featuring Magic Mike or whatnot. I tend to say Vicious Bass, the bass is Back to Haunt You is the name of the album, so deal with it. This is their his 1991 album. This is a promo copy. It's on blue vinyl. I showed this in my Vinyl Tag 2017 video. This is probably, I will definitely play a song from this. I'm not 100% certain, but he has other albums out on vinyl as well. This is DJ Magic Mike and MC Madness, Ain't No Doubt About It. Not too bad. Don't know this album as well. And then the album that got a whole lot of play, and this is a test press. Yeah, this is a test pressing, so I don't really have a cover for it. But this is DJ Magic Mike, The Final Frontier, back in high school. This was released in 92, 93, I think it was 93. Every car that was at high school was blaring this out the window. Yeah, this is probably his masterpiece. And so yeah, this is a test pressing, and then the one after that, I don't think it was directly after. This is also a test press. Is DJ Magic Mike Bass Bowl, and so it comes on 2 LPs here. So yeah, there's some stuff of DJ Magic Mike, and surprisingly, he's still active making music. Most of that stuff was in the 90s. All of that stuff actually was in the 90s, from 91 to about 95, 96, where those four albums were released. And he was playing at where was it? House of Blues, I believe, up until just recently, until his house parties basically got a little rowdy, too rowdy for Disney, and so yeah, I think he's no longer doing that. But like I said, he's an Orlando DJ. Got his start in Orlando, moved to Miami, got the sound of Miami, and then came back to Orlando. And it's kind of funny that I was listening to him you know, years ago, two decades ago, 2.5 decades ago. And then finally I'm living in Orlando. So I definitely have an appreciation for him as an artist, and don't think he gets the attention deserved. And so here is one of DJ Magic Mike's songs from his album, Vicious Bass. The Bass is Back to Haunt You.
Every time I rhyme, it's a climax. You can't relax. I flow clean and rough like Ajax and rock the wax like you're painting contacts without bells. So who the hell said I'm a new jack? Extreme precaution is needed. The last that proceeded got beaten, defeated, and deleted. I got the plan to scare those that try to get near the lyricist of the year.
The next is an honorable mention that is an original that I own. I'm not going to play anything by them. I feel like everybody knows who they are, and this is Hootie and the Blowfish, Fairweather Johnson. This is their 1996 album. There's nothing but hits on this album. This whole entire thing is amazing, and I don't listen to it as much as I used to, but almost no one talks about Hootie and the Blowfish, so there you go. That is one. But one that I did want to mention and play from is a kind of a trip-hop artist, also kind of a turntablist. He's been featured on Fuse's Crate Diggers, and this is RJD2. This is, I think, his second. Yeah, I think this is his second album. This one is Dead Ringer, released in 2002. This whole album is great. Kind of has a hip-hop feel to it at places, has instrumentals, and everything he does, from creating, you know, sampling from other people and using them to create new music. This one was kind of a blind buy for me back in, gosh, I want to say 2005, 2006. I don't remember if I bought his CD new or not. It might have been used, but I just like the title, RJD2, play off of, you know, Star Wars and DJ as well. So here is one of his songs from this album. Hope you enjoy it. On from trip hop and instrumental turntable DJing to jazz, and this is an artist I've never ever seen in the vinyl community, and I don't know if he's well known or if he's frowned upon. I don't know. I enjoy him, and there's a reason for this. Maynard Ferguson, who has many albums. I don't know the number. I have 4 in my collection. This is Chameleon, which was released in 1974. And then the first one that I owned was Hot. This is more of a disco type, starring the, well, not starring, but featuring the song Rocky 2. This was released in 1979. I think I bought that in the early 90s. And then you have New Vintage, and then I believe this one is just called Maynard Ferguson. And so I'm going to be playing from Chameleon. Maynard Ferguson, I know Blue Note and everyone, Blue Note and Miles Davis get share the spotlight, and I know Maynard Ferguson gets no mention whatsoever. I enjoy him, and I wish I could say that he pointed me the direction to jazz, and being a trumpet player, that I played more jazz because of him. But he did play at my high school. It was my junior year of high school, and I got really great seats, seats. 2 rows from the stage, and just slightly off to the right, and stage left, and great seats. No one was sitting. No one was sitting. I'm going to put these down. No one was sitting there, and I'm like, why is everyone sitting towards the middle? I got really great seats, and then I realized I was sitting right in front of the speakers, and I had no idea. Me playing the trumpet, I had no idea someone could get that high on a trumpet. I should have known better. My ears were bleeding, let's just say. But during that concert, he called some of us up, and I was one of the few that went up and played jazz with him. I would like to say that I was amazing. I don't think I was. I could say that I was. Yeah, I was amazing. But like I said, I wish that sparked something more in me to play jazz and be a jazz trumpeter. It didn't, but I definitely did buy one of his CDs that day, and it was I have that CD still, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. Something Cafe. I know it has Brazil on it, and I think it was released in 1992. And so yeah, really had a growing appreciation for him, and being able to show the basics of jazz on stage to just some punk high school students, you know. And so anytime that I see one of his albums that I don't have, even to this day, if I already have it, I know pretty much what I have, and pretty much showed it actually. And so I listen whenever I find an album of his. I definitely add it to the collection, even if I already have it, because it may be a better copy. So here is from his 1974 album, Chameleon, the title track, Chameleon. The last genre is electronic, and I could be obvious and mention the Chemical Brothers. I mean, they are my avatar logo. But I've decided to go a little ways away from that route and show The Prodigy. This is their 1997 album, The Fat of the Land. This is actually the first album that I purchased and heard from them. And after owning The Fat of the Land, I owned it on CD first in 1997, and listened to their earlier stuff. And their earlier stuff was either hit or miss for me. I either loved it or I hated it. And so this, I would say, is kind of a left turn / turning point for them, where everything after this album I collect and I've enjoyed. I have 4 albums by them on vinyl, and this is the first one I own, their 1997, and then this is their 2008 Invaders Must Die. This is the 3rd album that I own. The second album is that I own is Always Outnumbered, Never Outgunned, and then their latest album is something Enemy. I don't remember. I'll put it right there. I'll put it right there. The Day Is My Enemy. That's it. The Day Is My Enemy. So I will be playing, and oh, by the way, an honorable mention. I've mentioned them before. Is Diesel Boy. I have 3 albums by them. This is more of an EP, and then another album, which is, I think his most popular work is Dungeon Master's Guide. So Dungeon Master's Guide, Human Resource, and then Substance D is another one that is not released on vinyl. But all of this is drum and bass. If you haven't heard drum and bass, you know what? I'll throw one of these in as well. I will be playing something from The Fat of the Land because I think this album by Prodigy is a groundbreaking album, and no one had this sound in its time, and a lot of people copied this sound. And so here is a track from that, and then afterwards I will switch to something by Diesel Boy if you haven't heard drum and bass.
Yo, I used to check out lyrics upon the format, filled with skill with technique, computer ADAT. My lyrical form is clouds on your brainstorm. I get hype, think, thought, flow, acrobat, sync the track, pump the track, dance missions, clubs like pose, react by scroll visions. Inherited more reflects on the dance floor, blowing up, and having mad people showing up, packing crowds, jam-packed venues, needles collapse while atmospheres continue. Sprinkle that, winning like that, moving like that, hitting like that, the melody is fat.
All right, those are the genres and artists that I think don't get enough recognition in the VC. As I was preparing for this video, I was pulling and seeing all of these different artists and albums that I'm like, oh, yeah, and I feel like a lot of my collection is this stuff. And so I had this huge stack that I looked at, and I'm like, I can't show all of these in one video. So maybe this will spawn a second or third video down the road. I'm thinking maybe once a month or so. I really enjoyed this thread, and so would like to hear your comments, and are any of these albums that you agree with, or is in some way do you disagree that maybe they shouldn't be shown in the VC more? Let me know. It brings about a great conversation. So hope everyone's doing well, and have a great evening.